Okay, this is worksheet number 2, simplifying polynomial expressions. This is the one where you as a student are going to do the majority of these problems, but I am going to go over 1, 4, 8, and 11 with you to show you the work and the process involved in simplifying expressions that are a little bit more complicated than what we saw on the very first worksheet, simplifying expressions. So starting with number 1, again we're going to look for those things that we distribute and look for like terms. This time we have variables that have different powers on them. So when I look for like terms here, I'm looking for variables that have the same power that I can add or subtract together. And then those that are different powers are going to be considered unlike terms. So make sure that you are aware of that as you're working on the worksheet. So starting with number 1, I'm sorry. We have 3x squared minus 5x to the third power minus x times all these things inside. Now one thing that I always like to do when I see this minus sign directly in front of the x, I'm going to be distributing this to everything. I'm going to change this minus sign to plus and put my negative on the x. That's going to tell me to make sure I multiply a negative x by everything inside. So here we go, 3x squared minus 5x cubed plus negative x times 2x squared is going to be negative 2x to the third power. Again, x times x squared is x to the third. The negative goes on my number because think about this negative x is like negative 1x. Now I distribute the negative x to the 4x, so plus negative x times 4x is negative 4x squared. Again, x times x gives me my x squared, and then this negative 1, hidden 1 there, times 4 is a negative 4. Now I'm going to look through my expression and put together like terms, starting with those that have the highest exponent. So if I notice here I have a negative 5x cubed and a negative 2x cubed. If I combine those terms, I get negative 7x cubed. And then I go to the x squares. I have a 3x squared and a negative 4x squared. If I combine those, I get negative 1x squared. So there we have it, all done. Another binomial, just like we were getting last worksheet. A lot of binomials for a final answer. Number 4. So again, give yourself time if you need to pause the video and see what I did through there. Go ahead and do that at any time. And we'll go on to number 4. 17p, 8p cubed minus 4. Again, here's this distribution area again. I have a negative 5. So I'm going to change that to plus again, put my negative on the 5. That'll just remind me to multiply the terms inside by negative 5 every time. So starting with the very first term, 17p plus 8p cubed. Notice there's no simplifying there because they're unlike terms. Minus 4 plus, now I distribute to both of those two terms, negative 5p to the third power. Negative 5 times a negative 2, remember that'll be positive 10. So keep that in mind, negative 5 times negative 2, positive 10. Now I go through, put my like terms together, starting with the highest variables. I have a positive 8p cubed and negative 5p cubed. So positive 8 minus 5 is going to give me 3p to the third power. Now I take a look at the numbers. Oh no, look at this. We have a 17p. We need to take care of. That comes next. And that is the only term that has a p all by itself with it. So 17p. So that takes care of the 17p. Now I have this minus 4, positive 10. Put those together, it gives us plus 6. So now I have a trinomial for a final answer. So again, go back through, look at how we did that, and notice the three different terms that we have. Going on to question number 8. D squared, d to the third power. And again, here's this minus sign. So I'm going to change that right now to plus, put a negative right there. That reminds me to multiply everything by a negative. Remember that negative just applies to the coefficient. It does not apply to the variable. So starting over here, I actually probably could simplify these two together. 5d squared plus 2d squared, that gives me 7d squared. That'll save me some time. Minus 8d to the third power plus now negative 2d squared, and a negative on a 5, so plus negative 5d. Now let's go through, put my like terms together. Starting with the highest, here I have a negative 8d to the third power. Takes care of that. It's the only one with a d to the third power. 7d squared minus 2d squared. Add that. That gives me 5d squared. So takes care of the d squares. And I have minus 5d at the very end. Final answer, another trinomial. Again, take a minute or so, look that over. See how you did that. Again, pause it if you have to. Alright, the very last question, number 11. So now we have a higher power going on. Looks like a couple areas where we have to distribute. So it's going to draw those lines above, so it just reminds me to distribute. And over here, same thing. Distribute. And change this minus 8 to plus and put my negative on the 8. So here we go. Let's multiply through now. So negative 5b to the 6th plus negative 5 times 10 is negative 50. Then the next set I have negative 8 times 14. I don't know that off the top of my head, so I'm using my calculator. Negative 8 times 14, negative 112. And then plus a negative 8b to the 6th power. Alright, so let's start with the highest exponent, b to the 6th, right here, and another b to the 6th, so negative 5 and negative 8. Negative 13b to the 6th. Now we have the negative 50 and the negative 12. They're both negative, so plus a minus 50 and 112 is 162. So there's my final answer. Alright, the rest of these, they are going to be up to you to do. Show your work just like I've been showing my work all the way through, and then you can submit this later on for grading. Thank you and good luck.